Welcome to another episode of Hidden Heritage, where we follow the breadcrumbs to discover more evidence of who were the only American Indians that inhabited the Americas, and that are still here to this day. Now, before we dive into the rabbit hole of truth, if you are new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you'll be informed about our next upcoming episode. If you are already subscribed, welcome back to the channel, and thank you once again for your unwavering support. Please continue to like, comment, and share so more people can witness the truth. Let's dive in. The Northwest Ordinance Promises Made to the American Indians, Part 2 of 2. If you haven't seen Part 1, please go check it out. It's the video right before this one. So, stop watching this one and check that one out so you can get the full context of where we came from and where we're going with this right here. So, this was something that was brought to my attention that I forgot to mention. So they gave me the go-ahead to come on here and talk to you guys about it. Alright, so we're going to show you something that is really mind-blowing. Hold on. Okay. So, we are here highlighting Indian, right? So, if you haven't seen Part 1, go check it out. It's the video right before this one, so you get the full context of what we're showing you. So, the Northwest Ordinance was about Indians, all right? And so we are clear? Indian cannot be a misnomer to us because with Indian, we have our Indian titles, as you can see. We have our Indian land. We have Indian properties, Indian rights, not privileges, Indian rights, Indian liberty, and our Indian identity. This will make more sense as we keep going, all right? So let's go down here. Okay? So let's get a pointer out, all right? So, Indian, okay, the utmost good faith shall be observed towards the Indians. Their lands and property shall never be taken from them without their consent. Again, identifying. Being identified and identifying as black. That is a misnomer, or Negro, or colored. That is a misnomer. You're giving them consent. We have to reclaim our correct identity, all right? Their lands, property shall never be taken away from them without their consent, and their property, rights and liberty, shall never be invaded or disturbed. You know, stop right there. So, people that have rights, okay, are the Indians in this document, all right? So, let's go check out something else that's what it's going to say. And then we're going to move on so I can show you something that's going to blow your mind, all right? So, for Indians, there shall be neither slavery nor involuntary servitude in the said territory, the Indian territory, okay? Otherwise than in the punishment of crimes, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, provided always that any person escaping. Okay, a runaway Indian, we saw that. We're going to put that in the end screen. The Articles of Peace from 1677 has the same exact verbiage, all right? That any person escaping into the same, from whom labor or service, is lawfully claimed in any one of the original states, such fugitive may be lawfully reclaimed and conveyed to the person claiming his or her labor or service, as foresaid. Now, this is about Indians, okay? They should not be harmed, or, you know, anything taken from them without their consent. So once we peel the layer back, right, here we go, Northwest Ordinance 1787. So it brings us here to the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It's to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for a crime. The amendment was passed by the Senate, the House, right? And it was the first of the three. The pointer. The first of the three Reconstruction Amendments adopted following the American Civil War. Now, we just read that the Northwest Ordinance was talking about there. should be no slavery for Indians unless you know punishment of a crime. So they're talking about the same exact people. Watch this. That's what we had to do a part 2. So, you can see how this 13th Amendment is identical to the Northwest Ordinance for Indians. They just changed the name. Watch this, please. All right. So, we're going to start from the top, and then we're going to come all the way down. Phew. This is from the 13th Amendment. By the way, few records of the committee's deliberations during the drafting of the 13th Amendment survive, and the debate that followed both in Congress and in the state legislatures featured almost no discussion on this provision. It was apparently considered non-controversial at the time, or at least legislators gave it little thought. The drafters based the amendment's phrasing on the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, which features an identical exception. Okay, an identical exception. So let's see. It said an identical exception. You see how they sneak this past you right here. So, let's go see what the exception means. Okay. So, it's exactly the same referring to a certain group of people, but they have an identical exclusion. That's what this means. It means they excluded something, and that something was the word India. That's why it's not a misnomer. So, if Indian was a misnomer, then they wouldn't have liberties, land rights, property, and identity. So, that's why they had to change the identity to black in order to. We'll keep reading. So, they authored an early version of the Ordinance Anti-Slavery Clause, including exception of punishment for a crime, and also sought to prohibit slavery in general after the 1800s. So, we're going to scroll down so you can see right here. And it says, while attempting to reduce legal barbarism. Okay, so it was legal once they were named black or colored or Negro. All right. That's why they had to remove the Indian. And we'll show you more proof in this document that they removed the language verbatim of the 1700s considered forced labor, one of the few harsh punishment. All right? So watch this. All right? So we're going to start here. The committee's version used text from the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, which stipulates there shall be neither slavery nor involuntary servitude in the said Indian territory on the Indians, otherwise than in the punishment of crimes, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, though using Henderson's proposed amendment as the basis for its new draft. The Judiciary Committee removed language. Okay, they removed Indian that would have allowed a constitutional amendment to be adopted with only a majority vote in each House of Congress and ratification by 2/3 of the states instead of 2/3 and 3/4 respectively. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but let's see if we can find these 2/3 and 3/4 respectively vote, because it was the same exact thing, but they just removed the language of Indian. So, let's go back to the top. All right, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery except punishment for a crime. The amendment was passed by the Senate, by the House, and ratified by 27, divided by 36. So, that's 3/4. Okay. Respectively. That's where we see the numbers. Okay. That's where we see the numbers. Could be wrong, but hey, they removed the language. All right. Which language? Again, here's the language. Beyond the 13th Amendment and in slavery in the Indian Territory? Right there. That's the language that they removed in order for the legal barbarism. We need to show more receipts. Check this out. All right. So, if you haven't done so already, please like, share, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, and turn on post notifications. You'll be informed about our next upcoming episode. All right. So the language changed, right? So That's why you have, instead of the Indian massacres, you have this, right? So, we look at this map, for instance. This is not an all-inclusive. This is just an example. But the one main example we're going to look at is like the first year, according to this map that is not all-inclusive, started happening. So we go up to New York, 1863. I think that would be the Seneca Village, right? Where that was flooded. All right. So we're looking for 1863 on the 13th Amendment. And we come down and then we see 1863. All right. So we peel back even more layers at the top, changed back the language. American Indian massacres, and then you pull up a map with the Indians' territory. See, Seneca right there. All right. Then you go back down for Florida. Okay. You have the Seminoles come back up, Georgia. Okay. We got Indians right here, too, and they basically match. New Orleans, Louisiana, they're matching. Okay. There's Tulsa up there. They're matching. All right. All here, Louisiana. They are matching. And here's how we're going to show you guys that these folks were in fact Indians. Okay. So, here again the years, late 1800s, early 1900s. Again, this is not all of them. This is just an example. But they match the Indian nations. All right. So, we come here to the cigar store, and you see the phenotype. You're going to get a close-up. Okay, the second half of the 19th century. Okay, around 1870, this was made of our likeness to portray an actual Indian. Okay, watch. So, even in the 1600s, they have an Indian of Virginia in the 1600s. And this is what we wore, wearing a crown of tobacco leaves and a kilt and armbands, also of tobacco leaves with a beaded necklace, beaded meaning pearls, by the way. Okay, Indian pearls, because that's what they called it. All right, not beaded necklace. Like, come on, all right. So let's get a close-up. All right. So, you will see his phenotype, facial features, right? Lips, nose, broad nose, all right. Headdress, armbands around his arm, the two pearls around his neck, and look at his hair. Okay, that's our hair. Okay, so that's the close-up, our features, and our hair, our coily type hair. They were very deliberate about doing his hair this way, so there would be no mistaking him for someone else. All right. So, let's see what else we got. All right. So, this is another map. Again, the dates coincide with what we just read. Map of Indian tribes of North America about 1600 A.D., along the Atlantic, and about 1800 A.D. All right. So that's 1600 to 1870. Time frame is all in here as well. And you're going to see why. In fact, that they were the Indians. Watch this. So, we're going to just take a quick look at this map as well. And then we're going to come back and show you something else. All right. So again, these are the maps of the Indians' nations. That was us. Watch. Again, because we're going to lock down that they were not the Native Americans. They were us. And we're going to lock it down. All right. So this is all our Indian nations. Okay. And then watch this. Watch. You read that. The inhabitants of Alaska. Okay. The Conagan of Kayak, first something. And the Chukchi are all Eskimos. Not Indians. Okay. Eskimos. So watch this. See what we got up here too. Right here again. The sedentary Chukchi are of Asia, are Eskimo, not Indians. So it's not. They're not us, right? So watch how we tie in. The Native Americans are from Alaska. Watch. So let's go down. See the whole map again. And then we're going to go do the Alaska thing. All right? So, real quick, we're going to put this in the end screen so you guys can check it out. It's called It Is Easy to Understand Who Are the American Indians, where we break down how, in fact, that we are the actual American Indians. So, go and check out that video after this, after you watch this one. So, the main thing right now is that we did a quick calculation. Right. So we own says right here. We own 250,000 farms. Okay. The Indians, again, when we were Indians, we owned a lot more than, or close to this. Own 100% or more than this, with 200 million acres of land worth 500 million. So, we try to do the math. Right. So, again, this is what they're saying. So, we're trying to figure out that during the American Indian massacres, they're claiming that they had slavery and all this extra stuff, coming in chains and all this stuff. But how were they able to earn this much wealth after Juneteenth, which was that 19 June, 1865, if I'm not mistaken? So this was in 1912. So, how did they get all this wealth in such a short amount of time, unless they already had it as Indians? Right. They were passed down from generation to generation. So, let's dive a little bit deeper. All right. So this again is from the Choctaw Advocate around 1912. Right. And how, again, folks that look like us, according to what we were told, you know, in chains and all that good stuff, how are they able to accrue so much wealth in such a short time? So the Indian race has $1 billion. That's why they changed the language in order to the massacres. Right. And denies our rights, liberty, lands, and our identity, which is tied to the land. So we come here and it says, disenfranchise the Indian and send him back to Africa. Absurd. Impossible. More than $1 billion worth of United States real estate. So again, how are these Indians able to accrue so much real estate worth $1 billion? And we saw the land was worth 500 million, 20 million, 200,000 acres of land, I believe. So again, so more than $1 billion worth of United States real estate, which he owns in his own name in the United States, is not easily to be taken from him unless you change the language. Besides, the Indian is not an African. He's an American. African is a misnomer. Why try to send him to a country which is not his own? And again, over here, we have 400 self-supporting newspapers, 300,000 physicians, 2,000 lawyers, 300 authors. They own 41 schools and colleges like the Tuskegee University. Investment, $38 million. Yeah, $38 million and $45 million has been spent in the church for Indians. All right. That's where we went wrong amongst many other things with the church thing. Anyway, so we did try to break it down as best we can to see how is this even possible. So, we used the help of artificial intelligence. All right, so we asked artificial intelligence, how long would it take a demographic of people to acquire 20 million? I made a mistake. I thought it was 200,000. It was 20 million acres of land worth 500 million in 1912. And they said, to estimate how long it would take a group of people to acquire 20 million acres of land worth 500 million in 1912, let's work through the economic factors. Land in 1912, total price 20, for 20 million acres, 500. So, the average price is this. All right, $25 per acre. economic context. The U.S. annual income for U.S. workers was around $600. Savings rate, dependent, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. I didn't mean to say it like that. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible. 10%, 16%. So all in all, it would take, I think it said, this is 83 years. Let's see if we can pull that up. Yeah. So right here, it will take 83 years. So now we have to subtract 1912 by 83 and see where that gets us. All right. So if you do that, 1912 minus 83 years. That's just in a ballpark. So that was 500 million. They were saying they had $1 billion in real estate. Not like cash, and they were just rich. No, they were wealthy, right? So that land and property and knowledge to get all that wealth must have been passed down. That's how we can know for sure that 1829, which was still since Juneteenth was 1865. So, that means a whole bunch of people was in prisoners of war during that time. So, we're in 1829, and this is just being modest. So, this was in the 1700s. So, this is a $500 million ballpark, 83 years. So, if you do $1 billion, that's double. So, 1829 minus another 83 years, roughly, will take them into the 1700s of being able to start that wealth in order to have it by 1912. Because last time we checked, okay, they did not receive any 40 acres and a mule from anyone. In fact, it was given away to the white Europeans and Confederate generals, offsprings and stuff like that. There was no 48 acres and a mule given to not one of us at all, not one of them at all. Nor were there any reparations given to them, not even 1 penny given to them. The people who are saying, hey, we got $1 billion and we got land. We got land. We got land. Farms, we got all that. Nothing was given to them. They had earned it. So they had earned it, and it was passed down. So that's how we know that they were not just slaves, just being emancipated, and then accrued so much wealth in so little time against all this adversity. That's how we knew and know that they are the Indians. Now, once we head over to the purchase, I'll show you the map where we said that the Eskimos, they are not Americans. So, we get to the purchase, Alaska Purchase of 1867, and we come down to Article 3. Where is it? There we go. We're getting there. So, the inhabitants of the ceded territory of Alaska, according to their choice, reserving their natural allegiance, may return to Russia. Again, they're not Americans. Within 3 years, watch how we tie this to the Native Americans. But if they should prefer to remain in a ceded territory, they, with the exception of uncivilized native tribes, as in Native Americans, shall be admitted to the enjoyment of all the rights, advantages, and immunities of citizens of the United States, and shall be maintained and protected the free enjoyment of their liberty, property, and religion. The uncivilized tribe may be subject to such laws and regulation as the United States may, from time to time, adopt in regard to aboriginal tribes of that country, Alaska or Russia. So watch this. So, we come here, and you can check your Google calendars and see for yourself that on the first day of American Indian Heritage Month, you have the whole month of November, and then you have the Native American Heritage Day, which is on the 29th of November. So, these are 2 different people. All right? And we even asked artificial intelligence to help us break it down even further. Watch this. So, before we do that, you come up and most of the people. Okay, because we were on plantations. All right. So, if you check out what's the video called? The Articles of Peace, the video. I'm going to put that in the end screen. You're going to see that we were on plantations. That's synonymous with our thing. All right. That what happened to us. We were on our own plantations, and it just was taken over But those plantations were ours. The Native Americans, they are placed on reservations for the most part. We are on plantations. They are on reservations for the most part. And you can just Google the name of reservation, and it's right here in our face. The reservation of positions for non-Americans. All right. So let's keep going. Okay. Again, even Google Calendar is making a distinction between the two. American Indian Heritage Month and Native American Heritage Day, two separate people. Let's keep moving. All right. So we're going to come here to the Office of Personnel Management. We're going to take a look at this form right here. So it's called a Standard Form 181. Everyone has seen this, especially if you're living in the USA. So we're going to break it down real quick. All right? So everyone knows what we're doing. Our American Indian identity is tied to community attachment. Okay. Most of us won't have tribal affiliation. That's mainly okay for the Alaska Natives, and they are the Native Americans. Watch this. We even asked. So, this is two different people. Watch this. All right. So, watch this. It says, we ask American Indian or Alaska Native is the same people. I should say, or are. Anyway. So, it says American Indians and Alaska Natives are both indigenous peoples of the United States. Not America. Okay. Oh, you see how they try to switch it up? Well, check this. But when they throw that but in there, you know you're in for something. So, but, wait. Let me get this pointer. But. They come from different regions and cultures. You see how they do that? They say, yeah, they're both indigenous to the United States. But all right, let's keep going. Hold up. Okay. But they came from different regions and cultures, and then they break it down. So let me scroll. So, I don't reveal it too much. It says American Indians. These are indigenous peoples from the continental United States. They belong to various tribes with distinct cultures, languages, and histories. Right? So now we get to here. And it says Alaska Natives. These are indigenous peoples from Alaska. All right. Goes without saying, right? They include groups such as the Inuit, Alot, and various Native American tribes specific to Alaska. Again, it didn't say in various American Indian tribes. All right. So that's two separate people. The Native Americans verbatim, word for word, bar for bar, are not from America. All right. And again, we can prove this. You cannot take our word for it and just do your genealogy. Have them, anyone that's challenging. If you're challenging yourself, if they're challenging you, or vice versa, sit side by side and do the genealogy. And you see who's been in the Americas longer. All right. While both groups share the commonality of being indigenous to the U.S., not America. So, again, you can't. See, they're trying to be like the Native American indigenous to the United States, the corporation, but not to the America, the continent, or India, the continent. All right, they have unique cultural and historical backgrounds. All right, so that's how they break it down. And again, with the genealogy, do not do no DNA. Not talking about no DNA. DNA has nothing to do with our genealogy. Our genealogy, our ancestors, our American Indian ancestors has been around before DNA company. All right. And again. So, this is why they keep trying to push us to do our DNA. And they keep running from us when we'd say, oh, no, we don't do that. We're doing our genealogy over here. All right. Only our genealogy. All right. So, as you can see, Every single member of the board just resigned from DNA tester 23andMe. All right. And this is recent stuff. Right. This is recent stuff. So that's where we're trying to connect the dots. Go down the rabbit hole. All right. Follow the breadcrumbs to discover more evidence of who are the real and the only American Indians. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, and turn on post notifications so you'll be informed about our next upcoming episode. Please take care of yourself. Please take care of each other. We'll see you guys in the next one. One love and adoration. American Indians. Peace.